Hello everyone and welcome to Best Side Cycling. Today we're going to be doing a full walkthrough of the Chili Hilly route. It is the group ride here that circumvents Bainbridge Island with 33 miles and 2,200 feet of elevation. The ride has been going since 1972 and with hundreds of people loaded up on the ferry each year, it's definitely one to experience. Registration is now open on their website for the last Sunday of February, which the ride usually goes, and for that this year, that's February 27th. We're going to be showing off highlights and going through all parts of the route, but take a really good look at some of the climbs featured, especially Baker Hill, which is the biggest climb on this route. So this video is going to be an excellent resource for those of you that just want a preview or an idea of what this ride is like, or if you're capable of doing it and whatnot, or if you just want to do it on your own. All of that's great reasons, and without further ado, let's get into it. So we've made it onto the island, and for this ride there traditionally has been two start locations. Either you can just start on Bainbridge Island and get going on Winslow Way, or your bib is good for a few ferry crossings where this whole experience of getting off the boat is really something to behold, with hundreds of people usually on this ferry. It's just waves and waves of people trying to climb up and storm this hill to start their Chili Hilly ride. So definitely brace for that. Hopefully this year we'll also have a lot of folks, so we'll see. But as always, if you enjoy this video, please roll over the like button and subscribe. I'm based here in King County and I do a lot of videos on routes, new cycling infrastructure area, and bike climbs. So if that's of any interest to you, also ring that bell icon after you subscribe. So after we up this hill, shortly after, we're going to get to the first real nice sights of this ride, which is this whole beach view, and at the far back you can also actually see the Seattle skyline on a clear day, and maybe even Mount Rainier if you're lucky. So as background, as you can tell, I didn't do this ride during February. This was in the middle of summer just with a couple friends, but I did the exact Chili Hilly route, so that just goes to show that you can also just do this route sort of on your own whenever you have time. But in terms of doing it during the actual Chili Hilly group ride, which is traditionally end of February, that means definitely preparing for damp and cold weather, as it's sort of the transition between winter and spring. That basically means having enough kit for whatever temperature it's going to be, and especially for your bike, fenders. Without fenders, you're just going to be splashing yourself, people in front of you, people behind you, and I don't know if everybody would appreciate that. So if you can, definitely bring a bike with mud guards and whatnot, and everyone around you will thank you. As well as this is going to be a ride with a ton of people, so really put those good group riding etiquettes into place and definitely have a safe ride. But yeah, so we're going along here, and shortly after we're going to experience what I would call the first real climb of the ride. There's been climbs before this one, but here on Falk Road is going to be one that's slightly steeper and a little bit more sustained than what we've seen so far in the ride. So it's going to be right here on the left, right after the stop sign. And for this video, I'm going to play around a little bit more with some more numbers and metrics for you guys to look at. So you can see basically this whole climb in total is still not that long. It's only about like 150 feet. There's sort of two sections to it, one slightly steeper and then levels off, then it sort of cools down again. And this first section, it does get to good gradients of around 8-9% steady and holding. And for those of you curious and looking at my numbers there, I'm a very light rider at just about 49 kilograms. So that would sort of ground these power numbers for those of you that are actually interested in that. But I am giving it my all here, riding with my friend, trying to make it up to the top. I love doing climbs, so especially if that's you too, you're either going to really love or dislike this ride, as it's basically got a lot of rollers throughout it, but we're going to get into that. And then so we're about done the steep part of this hill, so you can take a deep breath and just sort of finish the rest of it. And we're going to keep going straight, and after a couple lefts, we're going to be on to our first attraction, which is the Frog Rock. And it's exactly as it sounds. It's just gonna be here on the left, two stones on top of each other painted to look like a frog. So definitely stop by. I'm sure there'll be a group of people there and take a nice photo. And with that, we'll keep on going. So at this point, we're sort of maybe 10-ish miles in, and you're just going to be going through the ride. As mentioned, a lot of what I'm showing now is just to give an idea of what kind of sights you'll have. It's going to be a lot of shaded forest areas, some hills up and down. Usually the roads aren't particularly super busy, especially on these days where there's so many people. I think you'll just have to actually just be more courteous to the cars and make way. But some of these turns and ideas just to give you sort of ideas of what the ride will feel like. But there are occasionally, as you see here, just peaks of the water as you're circumventing the island, and that's really sort of the best sights you're going to get throughout the whole ride. So after a few more miles of riding, you're going to make it to the main rest point of this ride at mile marker 15.4 at Battle Point Park. There'll be food, drinks, bike mechanics, everything to sort you out. So definitely make use of those amenities. Unfortunately, I don't have footage because I didn't do this during the actual ride, but there should be signage and everything to get you in the right spot. After that, there's also a shortcut at mile marker 19 in which you can use to cut this route short and head straight back to the end at downtown Bainbridge. So definitely make use of that if you need to, but you'll miss out on the southern part of the island and my favorite part, which is Baker Hill, the biggest climb that you'll be encountering during this whole ride. So here I'm on a more busy road that I wanted to show you just for an idea. Drafting behind my friend, and he's taking me right to the climb. So after a bit of riding, we make it here to Baker Hill Climb. So this is a 0.88 mile climb with 310 feet of elevation with an average grade of 5.9%. That doesn't sound too bad, but in terms of the Strava segment, but actually I would say just like the other climb earlier, it's very front loaded with the steepness. So definitely you're going to see in a little bit here that the gradient numbers are going to go way up. And my friend is signaling me to go up ahead and take on this climb, as I was telling him earlier. But I sort of make a fatal mistake, as maybe you'll notice just in a little bit. But I'm struggling to put out the numbers now, put out the power to get up this climb. And my cadence is going crazy. And the reason is I accidentally geared down when I meant to gear up. So I don't normally try to ride at a cadence of 130, but I was really excited, and that just completely missed and gassed me out for this particular climbing attempt. So definitely take that lesson from me. Whatever fitness level you're at, pace yourself. Do the appropriate thing and take it easy. Go through it and make sure you just stay upright on the bike, especially for this ride and the time that it's at. It could be particularly wet and damp, the roads. So at some of these higher gradients, we're getting here into the 12%. It could easily lose traction for your bike. And I've definitely seen that doing this ride before. So do whatever it means to really keep on rolling. And if not, it's okay. You can always walk it up if the alternative is falling over. But anyway, we're just gonna keep going here and keep going strong, riding up this climb. And I think for a lot of people that might not be used to riding hills, this is gonna feel like one to. It's certainly gonna feel like a real hill, as we're just steady here in the high single digits, trying to go along here. My power is now starting to wane a little bit, as now I'm finally at a normal cadence again after sort of burning my batteries in the beginning by accident by spinning way too fast. Abnormally fast, but I'm looking down in bits of exhaustion going ahead. And definitely, whatever experience you're at, this climb is going to be the hardest one you'll experience. So as we're getting closer to the top, just know that after you finish this one, there's gonna be climbs ahead, but the worst is behind you, and you can go finish the ride ahead knowing that. And for all of you that are curious, I'll have the Strava segments linked in the description below, and you can compare and see. And if you're wondering how long it took me to finish it in this attempt, it was 4 minutes and 17 seconds. I actually wasn't quite aware of when that segment actually ended for this, so I definitely will have to come back and give this another try. But yeah, let me know how that compares with your time if you have one already. But anyway, we're gonna keep on going here. The gradient's still holding at around 7%, but it's not gonna hold that way for too much longer. And my friend catches up to me as you can sort of see that I'm really dwindling after that strong effort, and I'm taking a break as the gradient now really drops into a nice 3-4%. I can tell I'm definitely sort of gassed out, but good thing is that after you finish this climb, you're going to be doing a nice descent and getting some really good views of the water again. And I think this next part of the ride is sort of the one of the most scenic and what I enjoyed in terms of the sights for the whole loop. So definitely, if you're able to get to that 19-mile mark, finish the rest of the southern part too. There's a lot of good sights here, a lot of good rides, and you'll go on saying that you've conquered Baker Hill, which I think is definitely a great accomplishment if you haven't been riding a lot of these different types of hills before. So now I think we've made it officially to the top, and it's going to be that descent down, and I'll see you at the bottom. So now is really some of the best parts of this ride. After doing a really hard climb and enjoying that descent, you're now on this really flat portion with some amazing views and probably the most continuous one from this entire ride. Just as you can sort of see from the map, it's just all covered in water. And yeah, just wanted to add a few more notes about sort of the riding condition and other things. First is the pavement. Bainbridge being an island, but not really, as it's connected to the mainland up north. I find that the roads are actually really well paved, so there isn't really too much concern there. I mean, so mainly I think you would just have to worry about maybe wet conditions on the day of, but in terms of the road conditions, as normal, they're actually quite great. And then in terms of the climbing and all the rollers, yeah. So this is the elevation profile of the whole thing, and then circled are the climbs that were covered in this video, which I really think when I wrote this, a lot of the most notable climbs, the ones that you definitely will remember and feel. Everything else, certainly there's gonna be a lot of them, and you're gonna feel each one going up and down, but they usually are quite short in nature. Usually most of them are less than 100 feet in elevation, and they don't last too long, though some of them do get pretty steep. So definitely, if you have a bike tent that is lighter or has better gear ratios for that type of thing, that's something to consider as well. And yeah, from here, it's just gonna be a nice ride around the southern parts until we get back to closer to downtown Bainbridge to the finish line, where we're gonna cover the final climb. But another thing to sort of note in this area is that there is sort of a rest stop as we get to Pleasant Beach Road. And in that intersection, there's also a lot of nice cafes and shops that we're going to just get a peek of right at the end here. I really enjoyed the atmosphere of it. So, I mean, if you're just taking your time, there's definitely probably some nice cafes or things to stop at. As there's no actual food rest stops till you get back to the start/finish line. After a few more miles, you're going to make it here to the final climb. So the final climb is just sort of this long straight stretch of two hills. We're covering here the second one that is also steeper. And at this point, you probably have at least 2,000 feet of elevation in your legs. So this is going to be hard no matter who you are. And definitely just give it your all here, as I'm trying to as well, just trying to make it up this last hill as fast as you can. As you can tell from the elevation graph profile, it's basically just a nice descent to the Bainbridge waterfront park where the finish line is. And the finish line features a lot of awesome things. I think they have chili there and other foods, and you can just sort of relax and have a good time. Though I know that a lot of folks that like doing this ride just goes for another lap. If that's you, that's really easy to do too, as basically the turns will basically lead you back onto Winslow Way, and you basically can just go straight ahead and do the same and skip the ferries and do that all over again. But probably most of us, and probably myself, definitely use that time to rest up and probably wait for your ferry, as those crossings aren't, there's just, those are timed as well. So, but definitely you don't have to worry about, as being a car, missing your ferry or whatnot, as the bikes always are the first to get loaded in and the first to leave. So that's just a great tip actually in general. Taking your bikes on across all the Washington ferries is always a great time and a great way to explore any of the islands. But as you see here, I'm now descending towards the finish line, and just after a couple turns, we're gonna make it there. And I think that about wraps up this sort of walkthrough and guide of the Chili Hilly route / ride. Please let me know in the comments below what you thought. What do you think of Chili Hilly? Are you riding it this year? What do you think of these hills? Anything about the ride, I'd love to hear it and hear more of your thoughts as well. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know that too. And with that, I think I'm just going to leave the rest of this footage here, where I just ride out to the ferry and make my way back to Seattle. So I hope you all have a great riding season in 2022, and definitely see you all in the next video.